Hey, Avalonians. If you've ever wanted to know what career is the best for you, is it sales or is it marketing? Then stick around. This video is going to answer the question. We have a battle royale between sales and marketing after the intro. Follow your passion might be a perfect question to ask and might have a perfect answer when interpreted right.
Let's start tracking which stocks can actually go up and go down, or which stocks have an advantage with the vaccine coming out.
Why it would have been more expensive to fake a moon landing back in those days. It's quite an interesting video to watch.
The economic activity created from the App Store alone is worth $500 billion.
So let's move on to the next question.
Man, it was too easy.
Too easy, no? Why didn't you answer?
All right, so today's special guests are, before I reveal that, let's do the drill. Please like this video, subscribe if you haven't, and press the infamous bell icon if you haven't. Today the bell icon has different purposes. This is going to mark around. I'm the referee. And my guests are, can we have the guest reveal, please? We have Mohit Ahuja, ex-sales head, Zomato India. He's led Zomato Gold in India, in Philippines. He's led sales for CureFit as well. And then we have Vaibhav Sisinty, formerly growth at Uber. After that, he headed the media for Klook. Rather, he headed growth for Klook Media. Welcome, guys. How are we doing? Are we ready? Where's the aggression? Where's the Josh?
So far, so good.
How's the Josh?
Hi, sir.
Okay, thank you. Cool. So I'm seated in a very very peculiar position today because I have to be neutral, but I belong to the same fraternity as Vaibhavs. So I'm gonna try to be as unbiased as I can. But Mohit, forgive me if I take things a little too personally. But what have you got for us? You're here representing sales. What do you have against marketing, and what do you? Can I set the plot? Okay, I'll let you set the plot. Where does this entire argument of sales versus marketing begin? Does it begin at the person's at a certain individual's start of the career, or does it shape up when sales and marketing are in the same organizations and they're head against each other, even though they're working for the same goal, that is revenue?
I think let me put this thing straight. I've been a brainchild of sales. I've been in sales for the last 7 years. Everything I've become, I'm in sales. So my loyalties will always and always lie there. And if I had to very, very macroscopically define the company is divided into two centers, right? One is the cost center, one is the revenue center. I've always been on the revenue center of things because, if I don't get money, how will we raise more funding? How will we progress? How will marketing guys get paid? And I think that sets the agenda for what we have in store for us tonight. And yes, those are my thoughts. And I'll let you take over now.
Burn. Okay, cool. Sisinty, go for
Very
it. What he basically said, and this kind of hurt personally as well. He's like, okay, there's a revenue side and there's a cost side. एक लोग कमाते हैं, दूसरे लोग उड़ाते हैं. And revenue side is sales. And if there is no sales, how will the marketing guys get paid and burn money? Ouch.
Sure. Very, very valid point. But I have a couple of questions for you. One, if people don't know who the fuck you are, why would they buy? So who's going to create the awareness for you? Marketing, right? Two, let's say people know about the brand, but who's going to make sure that you get the lead to make the call to reach out to? Marketing again. So boss, listen, it's very clear. Sales is basically a subset of marketing. You got to get it. You are a brainchild of sales, and sales is a brainchild of marketing, right? So you got to deal with it, brother. That's how it goes.
Definitely. There are a lot of points which I agree with, but then you're sitting there in your nice AC cabin while you're making calculated assumptions. I'm out there making calculated conversations. And I'm the first guy that the client, the business meets from any company. I am the perfect representation of a company. And who the fuck knows me? I don't know. A lot of clients will know me, but they will never get to know any marketing guy. For them, they're a marketing team. For them, I am the entire company. And I think that itself sets what sort of brand sales brings, because being part of the sales team and being part of the business, the first link itself is the sales guy. And till the very last, until the client moves out of a particular relationship, he also happens to be, or she also happens to be, the last link. And that sets the tone for what sort of impression that company holds. Not the CTAs, not the marketing guys, but the kind of relationship, but the kind of trust that we build out there. So yeah, definitely.
No, that's absolutely fair, right? When did I say? That's exactly what I'm saying. Sales is a brainchild of marketing. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Exactly.
I'm saying we need to exist for you to exist. I was getting to the point of पैसे कौन देगा? मैं बोल रहा हूँ हम है ही नहीं तो तुम हो ही नहीं. तो पैसे कहाँ से आएगा? Right?
The perfect scenario is that we have to coexist.
Absolutely.
And until our referee Modi ji decides that we are on the same side, we'll keep fighting this fight. But until then, it's sales work versus marketing, and let's keep the audience happy. And I think there is, just before we can move on, the kind of pretext that a lot of MBA colleges have also said, right? I remember being in school when I was in 12th, and the most generic MBA was, what sort of MBA will you do? I will do sales and marketing. I will do sales and marketing. Back then, 10 years, 15 years back, I would think that these were same functions, because obviously I didn't have that much exposure. But as and when I've grown into the system, I've gotten to understand how the granular things work within both functions. In an ideal world, we have to coexist. If a company needs to be successful, we need to coexist. And if two people, just for the sake of example also, I read this somewhere. If you're looking for a founder, if you're looking for a very, very close team, find someone that you can consistently and constantly disagree with. Because if you're agreeing with someone at all points, we will never get to a point where we'll figure out what the solution is or what the problem is. So I'm glad that both of us are always disagreeing with each other. And in that disagreement, if we're able to find an agreement, that's the eureka moment for us.
Okay,
Fair.
guys,
Absolutely fair.
you're pointing out to this disagreement, and the way you make it sound gives audience a hint of what actually is out there, what actually happens in organizations. So can you throw a little more light, because folks haven't probably, a good amount of the audience hasn't entered the professional sphere yet. So where does this disagreement come from? How does it happen? What are the things that they basically talk about? Can we have a very watered down narrative of what really happens in organizations? Why do sales and marketing fight so much?
So I'll let Vaibhav go first, then I'll give you my 2 cents.
All you.
Sure. I mean, based on the experience that I've had, usually what happens is the way marketing and sales coexist. I'm giving a very ideal case scenario so that people will understand where the disagreement comes from, right? Marketing will do the effort of, let's say, in a very simple way, generating leads for a SaaS software, for that matter, right? It could be anything. They could be doing performance, SEO, blah, 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 whatever that is. And you get a bunch of leads, let's say email IDs and phone numbers. And then it goes on to sales. And the job of sales, a sales team is basically to essentially to convert them into a customer, right? They come in the form of a revenue stage. Now, let's say in this case, the target was 100 new customers, and I got them 1,000 leads. And in the last 3 months, we've been converting at a 10% standpoint, right? So essentially, you'll be getting 100 customers. Now, if this month, if we eventually from 1,000 we get 70 customers, and the sales is going to start the banter saying that, hey, you know what? You gave me bad quality of leads. People are not picking up their phone. People don't open emails. The emails are bouncing. The phone calls are not being picked up. The quality of leads has gone down. While the marketing is going to fight saying that, what are you saying? We've been improving and optimizing our campaigns based on existing customers. We looked at our data. We are super data driven. We have seen some insane CTRs. Higher CTRs eventually result in higher conversions. And that's what we've been seeing. We thought this time you'll convert at a 12 or a 13 or 15% standpoint, but you didn't do it. So you fucked up, right? And this is usually a very, very common debate that happens where it comes down to a point of, sometimes your lead score doesn't really say the actual reality of what's going to happen. And this happens very, very, very often. Mohit, if you would like to add something to it. Or
Before that, I want to just break down some jargon. You said lead quality is poor, and I think Sisinty just ran us through his experience of fighting sales, because he had all the pointers lined up. He was like, okay, we are data driven, we do this, we got the quality right, we expected you to convert with a certain threshold, you didn't do that. But okay, let's break it down for the audience. What is the lead quality, and when does it go poor? When you've targeted the wrong set of folks, when you've targeted them from wrong areas, wrong locations, what exactly were you inferring?
Could be anything, right? So the quality of a lead, I mean, in the simplest way about talking about it is, let's say there's a score based on the lead that's coming in, we give a score out of 10. Right? Some brands have also started to give a rate out of 4, which is funny, but you essentially give a rate out of 10. And that rate out of 10 is depending on the kind of lead that is, the way he has filled the form, based on the details he has filled the form. So to give a very simplistic example, if you have filled a form sometime by looking at an ad, you select multiple attributes saying you work in this place, you have this years of experience and whatnot. Based on the parameters that you're filling in, there's a score that is being put in the backend saying a person X has, let's say, 10% of chance of converting. And if that is the case, your read score is somewhere between 5 or 6, depending on the math that happens. Now, this will depend on multiple factors. One is that who you are. Let's say my customers are from Bombay. And even if I target Bombay, and even if I'm targeting people who are interested in, let's say, data science, and I'm trying to generate leads for data science, it doesn't mean that just because demographics is correct, the targeting is correct, the lead is going to be of same quality, because the person could be someone with 10 years of experience and you're trying to sell him a product which is to teach data science. So the quality of the score is very bad. So there are multiple parameters. Who the person is, demographics and psychographics, right? Both come into the picture to an extent, but it totally depends on who the person is, where is he coming from, and on top of that, what is he doing, and actually depend a lot about what you're selling, to be very frank. But these are the parameters. Based on the parameters, you define a score, and the higher the score is, the higher is the chances the person's going to convert. But again, this is all based on prediction of past data, right? Even if your lead score is very high, let's say this month is a month of festivals, people are they're not going to buy out. As a result, even if the lead score is high, the conversion is going to drop. But again, I don't want to go deep into use cases right now, but you get the point.
Okay, so basically, Vaibhav's done his due diligence, and he's analyzed past data, and from every controllable metric, we've gotten a bunch of leads, let's say 1,000 leads, and sales is expected to close a double-digit percentage of them, usually lower than 50%, something 20, 30. So where does it fuck up, and how do you back your argument, Mohit?
So before I get to that, I'll explain you my view of the entire funnel, right? As Vaibhav rightly explained and very well explained. So let's say there is a universe, and let's call the universe as all suspects. Now, from those suspects, marketing will definitely try to find out what are the prospects. That is the first level of filtration that they would do. Then they would qualify those prospects into MQLs. MQLs are nothing but marketing qualified leads, which through their performance marketing or through their data points, they will figure out that this is a set which is good enough to be sent to the next level. Now, a lot of companies, what they do is, so that to prevent that disagreement that we're talking about, they add one more layer called as the inside sales. Now, what inside sales would do is, they would, from the MQLs, that is the marketing qualified leads, they would try to churn the SQLs, that is sales qualified leads. Now, because if I'm handing, like, just imagine, now you're at a restaurant, right? And the waiter is getting you food. Now, from the kitchen to the table, you would want to eat cooked food, right? Not raw food. So the waiter is doing the mid job by checking that, okay, you've cooked it properly. Now I will take this. Now the inside sales guy will do this. He will see, yeah, I think that has been cooked properly. And now I will serve these leads to the sales teams, which becomes your sales qualified leads. And from there on, there are multiple levels of conversion rates, which the company has. And based on that, the lead pool is allocated to each and every sales POC. And then we go out, we start hustling, and we figure out that, yes, this is our target, and we sweat over it. And the major point of disagreement is, and there is also a con here for the marketing folks. Now, because if I get a lead pool of 100 and I'm on the high performing spectrum of things, I'm closing at, as you read, on double digit percentage, I'm closing 20% of it, 25% of it. I have a direct correlation in terms of incentives. which is what drives a lot of sales POCs. But right now, the entire ideology of incentivizing marketing POC is not widely adopted, because they are also putting in those long hours, burning their brain cells in figuring out what sort of cohort they should target. And if that cohort actually converts into a good chunk of revenue, they also shouldn't be stopped from getting incentivized for that matter. And once we are able to establish that sort of agreement, the entire system becomes very value driven, very metric driven. And even for your question, right, poor quality of leads. Now let's say my marketing team has to, no matter what happens, they have to generate 1,000 MQLs. Now if I put one more layer, that if you generate a good set of 1,000 MQLs, that 75% or greater than 80% of them are actually qualified, I will incentivize you. Now that will make them work in a particular angle, that the possibility of having poor quality of leads will be eradicated from the entire system. And that is one solution which, if implemented widely, can significantly stop or reduce the quality of poor leads out there.
Okay, so Mohit, what you mentioned, and you gave me a really good point about skin in the game. That salespeople have a lot of skin in the game, and sales is a very lucrative career. Some salespeople end up making, they hit the ceiling with the kind of money that they make out of their incentives. Sometimes it so happens that your salary is less than 50% of your total paycheck. It's bulk of it is incentives, and that's what motivates a lot of folks to get into sales.
Best feeling ever.
Indeed. So okay, now what the point that you gave me, this incentive system gives you inherently drives you to go out there and hunt deals, or I can use a better word. And you're saying that this design or this system is lacking when it comes to marketing, right? So how and then you're saying that marketing में ज़्यादा revenue attribute नहीं होता. Like marketing does certain efforts, they're not really held accountable for the revenue generation out of those efforts, and hence marketing by design, the department of marketing is flawed. That's, I think, a little bit of a jibe. Is the industry changing, Vaibhav?
So before I'll just add one more thing. Now there are structures to it, right?
Sure.
Now most of the sales organizations, they have a very hierarchical structure where one below one, then it kind of branches down into a tree, right? Now, as and when newer companies are coming, they are forming a pod structure. What is a pod structure? That within a company, there will be small pods, like pods in a piece, right?
Individual units.
Yeah. Now, each individual unit will have one POC from marketing.
POC is point of contact?
Yeah, or an employee, right? One marketing guy, one inside sales guy, and two guys who are selling, like a team of 4. It's a very simple example. And once they achieve the success metrics, the incentive goes out to the entire pod. So now the company is working in the form of smaller companies, and they're against each other, and the revenue is being equally distributed, all the resources are being equally distributed, and the rewards also are, in that matter, equally distributed. And that's the system which can solve this particular issue. But Vaibhav, you can take it over now.
Linear attribution is something that is being picked up right now. It was not very common before.
Simpler terms.
Right? I'm sorry. Spread making $100 of profit in a team as an incentive and spreading across all the 5 people, making $20 each one of them. The linear distribution is something that that companies are picking up right now. But like Mohit rightly said, right, this is becoming more important for companies because of the angle of performance that has started to kick in, right? Because eventually back in the day, marketing was what? Running a newspaper ad, setting up a billboard. So the amount of, for an outsider to look at it, people always will think that sales is the role that is actually driving revenue, right? And that was actually reality, and also what people perceived it to be, right? So I don't want to debate about it because I was not from that era at all, right? But that used to happen way too often before. Because pehle jab hota tha, like Mohit said, I wanted to become a marketing and a sales person that used to come together because of how marketing was done back in the day. Marketing was billboards and TVCs or newspaper ads or whatnot. With performance coming into the picture, with internet coming into picture, not just performance, right? That is changing. And more and more brands are realizing that marketing is actually also playing a very, very important role to drive those leads, which is in return converting them. As a result, when the attribution, that is, everybody has the equal skin in the game, it makes sense for overall business as such. But before we go on, right, I wanted to clarify one more thing, that marketing and sales and the amount of effort that is needed in terms of marketing and sales depends on business to business, and this is something that everybody needs to understand, the audience. I was going through a few comments where people were trying to pick up a few examples. People have to understand that there is marketing and sales as every business, but the weightage or the importance of marketing and sales in every business is going to be different. For example, from the businesses that I come from, which are internet businesses, I worked with Uber, I worked with Klook, right? On the consumer facing, there's barely any sales. There is no sales. Right. In that case, I'll tell you what sales is. There is a sales role, but that is not done by a human being. Right. I mean, like literally manually. But in terms of enterprise, let's say enterprise SaaS, there marketing is probably 10%, sales is probably 90%. I mean, there is marketing, but that comes in form of account-based.
While you're throwing these examples, while you're throwing these concepts, can you also throw in a few examples? What do you mean by enterprise SaaS? What do you mean by consumer-facing businesses?
Sure. I mean, consumer-facing businesses are essentially, let's say, Uber, Swiggy, Cred. All these are consuming-facing businesses, and I'm talking about consumer end. Again, a lot of people will point out, but Vaibhav, wait, there are restaurants, there are drivers. I'm talking about the consumer-facing, which we understand better, right? In that case, marketing is like 90% is marketing, 10% is sales, and I'll tell you what that 10% sales is. But when you jump onto something like, let's say, Accenture, Wipro, TCS, right? There, for them, lead generation or business is getting other clients, other people to pay them for their services. In that case, marketing is essentially account-based marketing. Branding is only 5%. I don't even think they'll be running performance. Probably some level of LinkedIn ads, and that too these days, right? There, it's completely account-based marketing and sales. Right now, I'm not the best person to kind of explain what account-based marketing is. Mohit wants to pick up, he can do that, but you get the point. Now, let me cater to the B2C side of it. For example, Uber, Cred, and all these places, right? Where does sales come into the picture? So a lot of people think sales is picking up the phone call, reaching out to people. That is not sales. Sales, the function of a salesperson or the sales body is to convert a person who is a lead into a customer. And for that, you don't have to be a person calling or talking. It could be, I mean, if you look at a landing page, right? What is a landing page? Why is a landing page a lot of times referred as a sales page? Because your landing page is doing the job of a salesman by selling it. The copy on the landing page is acting as a salesman talking to the customer, right? On a place like Uber, when you're downloading the app, the first place that you get into is the Play Store landing page, right? And that is the sales page for a place like Uber. And this is where sales tactics comes into the picture. Persuasion, FOMO, I don't know, arbitrage, no distraction, lift models, everything comes into the picture here. But on the other side, it's completely sales driven, because marketers' job is probably 5% just so that people know what Accenture is. Rest of it is done heavy lifted by sales and A&B guys. I hope that makes sense. I just wanted to make a very clear differentiation on where sales and marketing is based on the business.
That absolutely does. And you mentioned a point in there that a lot of folks think that sales is picking up the phone and dialing, and it can be as glamorous as Wolf of Wall Street, but it can also be looked upon as sir, insurance kharid lo, credit card kharid lo. And that's why sales industry has a pretty bad name. Marketing has become glamorous because as an Indian society, we've always fancied white collar jobs that are hands off. We have a cabin, as you Mohit just pointed out, that okay, we're sitting in air conditioned cabins and dealing with data and numbers. Sort of there's a hint of engineering to the entire thing, and sales hence gets a bad name. And there are a bunch of companies that are also infamous for the kind of culture that their sales teams have. So Mohit, I want you to tell me, how much of a truth does this argument have that sales is not, because I know for sure sales is a very lucrative job, I want to know from your side, what's your take on the entire argument?
Definitely. So I'll explain you with a prominent example, because in our nation, right, the first definition, like I'll ask you a question, Abhinav. What is your earliest memory of a salesperson? Remember, go back when you were a small kid.
Someone, a door-to-door salesman.
Exactly. Now,
Yeah.
if you're spending so much money in college or school, would you want to be a door-to-door salesman? No, right? But and even for that matter, there are a couple of things which highly influences the masses in our nation. One of that is obviously media, right? And if you have to Google this term, top sales movies in India, it's actually Rocket Singh and Baja Barat. Now, how are these movies supposed to influence masses about how well this industry does, or what are the scope of this industry? But if you do the same thing for a Hollywood, you will have The Wolf of Wall Street, you will have Kabuki and all these very, very glamorous sales movies, which inspires a lot of salespeople. That is my first particular argument, because as a nation, we've kind of looked down upon salespeople, which is not true at all, because I know tons and tons of people who've started their career as sales reps and who've made a brilliant living for them, who are now founders and CEOs. I know Varun has done sales. I know a lot of founders who started their career as sales reps. So the possibilities, it's endless. Now, how it actually starts. Now, people who give bad name to sales are the ones who've not been successful in sales, because by the value of the first emotion that you get from any other occupation, right? If I devote 1 year in sales and I'm not able to achieve my targets, I have I have high amounts of stress, my mental wellness is all over the place, I will curse that profession for life. But here also is now when we reach, right, the entire sales has evolved so much that you need to analyze each and every small point. What do I mean by that? And there is a very, very common term which is used, overused, abused in sales, which is hustle. That hustle this out, you will hustle it. Now, a lot of people actually confuse hustle with struggle. Now, let me tell you what my definition of hustle is. Hustle is basically you found what your winning process is, what your winning formula is, and now you want to maximize the returns out of it. You want to put the same sort of winning formula across multiple clients, multiple leads, and extract as much revenue as you can. Now, what struggle does? Struggle is you don't have a formula which is working, but you keep using the old redundant way of selling, and then you don't get the results, and you start blaming the profession. And now, once we've evolved, right? Earlier, there were number of buyers, right, which are there in the market. They have always been there, and obviously they've been increasing with the increasing economy. But the number of sellers in the past decade, they have increased exponentially. Now, what do I mean by that? 20 years back, if you were in an industry, break that down into a micro industry, you will have very limited options. So then it was all about buttering. I meet Abhinav and I tell him, Abhinav, you're looking damn nice today. You have a lovely house and I have a lovely product for you. You're like, yeah, I would love to listen to you. What is that product? And more often than not, you would eventually end up buying. But now buttering has evolved to bettering. Now, what do I mean by bettering is, now if I come to you, if I pitch any product, you will tell me that, dude, there are 10 more people who've come to me with the same product. How are you better than them? And that's where most of the people lose the plot, that they're not able to explain what their particular pros are, how are they better, and then they start blaming the entire profession of sales. So that's my outlook towards sales. And I remember in a couple of weeks back, if not a week back, you posted an Instagram something question that, do you think all salespeople are punching bags? If you remember. And there are two kinds of salespeople, right? And that's what I took a session on Avalon on Discord server that night. And I told two things, that yes, there are two kinds of salespeople. One are the punching bags, that you keep throwing insults, you keep throwing damage at them, they will absorb. And like a punching bag, they will keep coming back. That, sir, ho gaya na, le lo, please. Now the salespeople have evolved. From a punching bag, they've become a mirror. Now, what do I mean by a mirror? That once you hit a mirror, it will break. And no one wants that, right? So whenever you say something, they will reflect back on what the right set of actions they should take. what is the right process to improve your business. So those people will never take shit. Their ego is too important for them. So if you tell anything that, dude, your company sucks, I will tell you, listen, my company doesn't suck. But if you don't have a vision towards improving your business through my product, it's not my fault. That's my point here. So if everything is evolving and salespeople are evolving and the industry is evolving, and if you're not able to evolve with it, you will end up cursing it. And that's how people have given a bad name to sales. But then I have nothing but praises for sales. You can obviously figure out from my views.
Just to add Mohit's point, right? Like, I totally agree with bettering, but I think we haven't got to the stage of bettering only. We still stay in a still in a phase where buttering is also necessary and also bettering is necessary.
Yes.
Buttering is necessary on a personal standpoint because you have to convince a stakeholder to kind of vouch for your product who's on the high level. But bettering is necessary for the stakeholder to convince everybody else that your product is the way to go. So for anybody to be a very good salesperson, just a good product isn't going to make you a great salesperson. You need to have those persuasion skills to make the sale happen. So that's what I meant. That's what you meant. I know that, but I just wanted to make that point clear.
And still a lot of people use buttering, but now buttering has become one of the many ways, because the eventual goal is to build relationships, right? Now buttering has become one of the ways, and that's due to the lack of innovation that people have. And the easiest way is that I will praise them about certain things. And buttering also is not easy. I can't butter anyone regarding a random topic. I'll have to put in those hours, research about what their achievements are, what they've done in the past, from where they're coming from, and then only I will make sense. Tomorrow, if I come to Abhinav and tell him that you've been a marvelous pioneer in the finance industry, he'll like, wait, what? And then I'm like, oh, sorry, I think that was Shashank. And then he will hate me for his life. He will never buy anything from me. And if I've not done my research, that is a very, very simple example of how things work. So even buttering has a lot of backstory, a lot of research involved in it. And that's how it becomes one of the ways to probably build relationships.
And Mohit, I think what you're saying struck a chord with me, and I was reminded of this book that I read not recently, a couple of years back, The Challenger Sales. And I think that's what you're hinting towards. Now, Mohit, while you were speaking, you also spoke about, when there is no innovation, when you're selling dead old products, then you got to butter, and, you have your family to feed, and you end up becoming a very submissive person as a whole. It's not about, a submissive salesman. You become bogged down with responsibilities. You're hammered down in life. And we see a lot of those guys out there. They indeed are punching bags. And I think in my opinion, if I'm to make sense of what you're saying, is what's a really good differentiator of the kind of salesman that you become is where you're placed. You can be working to sell a product that's that's obsolete, or you could be placed to be selling a product that actually sells itself, and you can facilitate the process, and actually it actually has certain core drivers that you can help your other stakeholders realize. You can actually present the value and rebut their arguments against the product. You can actually take a stand. So tell me, what are these companies? There are a lot of kind of salespeople that are out there. There are still door-to-door salesmen, and there are salesmen who are selling companies for millions of dollars. So where are the opportunities lying currently for people like you and me and the audience? Where would we like to go? Of course, it's not an insurance selling sector. I'm just making guesses.
So just to get your question right, what are industries, or what are the options, or what are the possibilities?
Where's the opportunity for a lucrative career in sales in 2021? And what are you doing to lead people there?
Now, sales is one of the most inclusive professions that has been ever made. Now, it's for introverts, it's for extroverts. There are males really successful. There are females who are extremely, extremely good sellers. Like, I've been spending a lot of time on Clubhouse, and I realized the kind of female salespeople who are out there from the US, from the UK, and they've done marvelous things. Now, since it's everywhere, the best way to figure out where you would probably, or where your standpoint would be, is to do a research in terms of what your end goal is, in terms of do you eventually want to start your own business? If that, then you have a particular pathway towards that. If you want to be an individual content creator, then there is a different pathway for that. But if you want to establish or accelerate your sales career, choose an industry first, because eventually you will have to pitch to a client, right? And the reason the client will take you seriously or will actually listen to you if he considers you to be a pioneer of that particular industry, if you know your shit inside out. So whichever industry you've been, there is an emotional connect. You can research the fuck out of researching. And here is where I tell a lot of people that I've trained that while you're choosing an industry or while you're entering a particular industry, this is your only point in your career where you won't be a salesperson, but you will be a detective. Think like a detective, search each and every minute thing, and figure out what is the best part, what is that one thing you really like about that industry. Once you fall in love with that industry, right, that means you have belief in that industry. Once you have that belief, you can convince anyone to believe in you. You can convince anyone to get your product. The majority struggle where people where face is basically they are unable to convince themselves that okay, this industry is really good or this product is really good. And once you're going out to the market in terms of selling to different clients, I'll share my story, right? So more than external selling, selling to clients or prospects, there is a lot of internal selling that I have to do. Internal selling is within my internal stakeholders telling them that, dude, this product is not good. You have to change this, you have to change that. And how will I actually come up with those points? A, if I know the industry. B, I'm speaking to enough number of clients, they're giving me feedback. Because for the buyers, they have n number of people coming to them every day talking about different products. So they know more about what your competition is pitching, what you're pitching, and then they will give you the answers, what you need to take back to your particular organization and tell them that, dude, this is how we improve the product. Why we actually say that? So that our belief in that product increases. The entire idea, the entire game lies if you believe in the product or not. Once you believe in the product, the latter becomes easier. Convincing someone becomes easier. And that is where most of the salespeople need to keep this in mind, that while choosing the industry, figure out where the emotional connect is. And if you have that emotional connect towards that industry, right? Because why I chose F&B? Because my dad has been associated with the restaurants for a really, really long time. I'm from Lucknow, so I love my kebabs. I love all the food that is possibly out there. I can go on and on about food for days, for that matter. So I knew for the fact that I have enough knowledge about what is there. Now it's my time to update and upgrade myself in terms of knowledge. Once I've done that, I can hold on to any conversation. Now I can confidently say any pioneer of F&B industry, I can hold on to a conversation with him for hours and hours and periodically keep adding relevant points. And at any stage, if I'm having a stimulating conversation with anyone, right, I'm constantly making sense, they're constantly making sense, the chances of them trusting me and buying a product from me significantly increases. And that's where the game changes.
That's a lot of notes for folks out there. Legit. Now, Sisinty, I have a disclaimer, rather disclosure. I forcibly put Sisinty into this stance. He is very vocal about, sales as well. So Sisinty, you've been, very fundamental in, and, you've helped start a lot of careers lately because, you are actively involved with LinkedIn. Can I throw this question back at you? How does someone choose their career, and where are the opportunities in sales currently, and how do you go about prospecting those opportunities?
I think when it comes to sales, right, it's kind of an evergreen opportunity which will always be there. Like Mohit rightly mentioned, you need to find what industry, what excites you. Fundamentally, you go back to the same question, right? What is that excites you? So even if you're really good at, for example, even if I take an example of a software developer or marketing or whatever that is, if you are sitting in a cabin and you are working towards something which you are not excited about, no matter how good you are, you're not going to do justice. In terms of that, today, when you think about roles and opportunities, right, marketplaces are opening up left, right, and center. Everything is a marketplace. And when a marketplace is opening up, the beauty about a marketplace is that we, for the first time in probably in last 50, 100 years, we are seeing an equality of marketing and sales, because there are two sides of the businesses. One is a completely marketing driven business, which is on the consumer facing, while the supply facing of the business is completely sales driven. Right? So today, any marketplace you pick up, there's a lot of sales that can be done there, right? And the other, if you're in marketing and you want to pick sales, if you're in a marketplace, works great. Okay, just to give you guys an example of a marketplace, anything which is two-sided. Uber is a marketplace. Amazon is a marketplace. I don't know. I mean, anything that you pick up, right? Any of the e-commerces that you pick up, any of the Swiggy is a marketplace.
Zomato, Swiggy,
Zomato,
Nykaa,
Swiggy, right?
Flipkart.
Most of the big businesses today that you pick up has two sides of the business. If you are getting a product and you are getting the product from somewhere and the business doesn't own it, Airbnb is a marketplace because Airbnb doesn't own the houses, neither does it own the customers. It is just acting as a mediatory body, right? This kind of opens up the gamut of both marketing and sales. And the beauty about this is both of them have to survive together for the business to sustain.
Correct.
Right? And if it's basically we call it marketplace balance. If the supply is too much, that is classic example of, let's say, Swiggy, right? If there are thousands of restaurants and there are only 10,000 customers, how will every restaurant get enough business? In that example, you need to kick in your marketing so that you get more customers, right? In the same way, India faced a classic example of a supply issue in terms of Uber, Ola, and all these people. What do you mean by that? We always have enough customers to take the rides, but we don't have enough cars. How do you make sure that we get more cars on board? That is completely a sales job. So the equilibrium only balances when sales and marketing are equally putting in effort. Even if it topples anyway, the business is not going to survive properly because you're going to go into losses. And that's exactly why sales is growing and so is marketing. But you need to pick up. It totally depends on what is that excites you. Which role excites you? What kind of company excites you? And what is that you enjoy doing? You like talking to people? You like converting them? Is that what gives you an adrenaline? Sales is your thing. Pick up your industry, go for it. That's basically how you go about it.
Now, how about marketing, though? How do you choose? How do you choose if you want to belong to marketing?
I mean, on the contrary, right? If you enjoy spreading word about the brand, for me, what excites me, the reason a lot of people ask me, Vaibhav, why did you join Klook? People don't even know what Klook is. You said Klook Media, so even you don't know what Klook is. It's Klook Travel, right? Why did I join Klook?
Ouch. My bad. I'm sorry. Publicly apologizing.
No issues. That's exactly why I joined Klook, because I enjoy building brands. And the idea was I want to build Klook as a massive brand in the country. And when we joined, we were in an $8 million revenue run rate. When I left, we were at a $27 million in 9 months, right? That's what excites me. Hence, I pick up marketing. If growth excites you, if customers excite you, if understanding customer excites you, if persuading them without having a manual touch point excites you, there's so many things. If data excites you, it's marketing. But you love conversations, you love convincing people while talking or with your copy or whatever that is, then sales is your thing. And a lot of times you like both. There are a lot of people like me who enjoy both. So you have to find your balance. And there's so many organizations which will allow you to do both as well.
Beautiful. I think Sisinty summed it up for both ends on a very jovial and amicable note. So that brings us to a perfect close. Thank you, folks. By the way, I have an announcement. Mohit has decided to help you out if you want to start a career in sales. There's a quiz in the description, and Mohit has handcrafted the questions in there, and you end up with a report whether you should be in sales or what's your sales IQ. Go check that out. And this was fun. Thank you, audience. Thank you, folks. Take care. This is a wrap.
Thank you so much.